Talk It Out with Miss Olmos. The last 2 episodes, we've had the opportunity to get to know 2 special guests. And today I have another special guest that I'm so excited for you to meet. She was actually my first grade teacher. She has been a classroom teacher, a reading recovery teacher, a principal. Her current title is Teacher Quality and Mentoring Coordinator. But you name it, she does it. She knows it all. If you know her, you love her. Generally, I believe she is a true legacy, and I'm just so excited for you to get to know her and have a great time with her today. So let's give her a warm welcome. Hi, Miss Ramon. How are you?
Hey, Lizette. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited for you to be here. I'm just excited. I don't know that any introduction could do justice of how I actually feel about you. I'm just I have an actual celebrity on my podcast. I genuinely feel that. I'm just so overjoyed that you are here.
Well, thank you for asking me. It's a pleasure.
So we will just talk. I'll ask you questions. Just like our previous guests, you don't know the questions, which is great. I want you to be comfortable. I want you to have a good time. So if there's any question that you're like, I don't really feel comfortable answering that, you just say pass, and we will just move on to the next question.
Okay. I throw them at me. I bet there's not anything I won't answer.
Okay. Where were you born and raised?
Yeah, so I was born in Liberal, Kansas.
Okay.
Grew up there until I was in 6th grade, and I was then my family relocated to Turpin, Oklahoma, which for people that are from around here, they know Liberal and Turpin are just like 18 miles apart. So grew up for most of my time in Turpin. There was a short stint in there where my mom and my sister and I relocated due to my parents separated. And I lived in Tecumseh, Oklahoma for a summer and a semester. And that there's quite a story to all that. So if it works out for me to share that in your questions, I'll let you know a little bit of how that all worked out. But anyway, so I came back, was fortunate enough to come back my half of my junior year and my senior year back at Turpin, which when I tell people where my hometown is, it's Turpin. That's my heart is full of love for Turpin, Oklahoma.
So you drive through there first. I don't know why I feel like I've drove through there.
Yeah, so if you are going to Liberal, you go to Perryton, and then to Bryan's Corner, then Turpin, and Liberal.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so it's tiny.
It's very small.
It's tiny, tiny.
Had 25 in my class. Yeah, graduating class, there were 25 of us.
Very small.
Yeah.
So you weren't really in Texas until...
Yeah, so I went to college at Goodwell because that's where Tyndall lived, and we were dating at the time and actually about to get married. So I got married very young. I was 18 when we got married. So Goodwell was a place for me to go and go to college. And we didn't move to Texas until Tyndall got his job at Spearman. So that was when I became a Texan, was in 1985. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I generally did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about the story you said.
Yeah. So back to when I moved to Tecumseh for a short period of time, my parents had separated. And so my mom and myself and my sister was actually already there. So we moved out there and we lived there through the summer and then the first semester of my junior year. And my mom had come back she and my stepdad were getting back together. And I really didn't want to come back yet. And so my sister and I moved in with my aunt and uncle. And we lived with them for a period of time. And anyway, but my mom was back in Turpin, and over the Christmas holiday, I went back home to see my mom and my stepdad. And I got back together with my Turpin friends. And they wanted me to come back home because my mom was back, and they really wanted me to come home. And I was debating on if I really wanted to do that. But a kid that was in my class, he and I started communicating, and I had a crush on him. And we started communicating, and he talked me into coming back to Turpin. And so it was after the first of the year, it was probably middle of January, that I came back to Turpin. And I came back all because of him. And when I came back, he had found himself another girlfriend.
Oh.
And so he didn't care that I'd come back. And so I came back and I was like, uh-oh, I don't think this is going to work out like I thought it was going to. And it was just a few months later that I met Tyndall. So Tyndall always laughs and says that he is appreciative. His name was Junior. He's always been appreciative that Junior dumped me. Yeah.
Oh, that's a cute story.
Yeah.
And so then how did you meet?
Yeah, so I was 16. Tyndall and I, we were in a social setting, and we met through some mutual friends. And he was actually in college at the time. And one of my friends knew a guy that was with Tyndall, and had just our groups got together and started visiting, and that's how we met. He got my number and he called me the next week, and we dated after that. Never quit dating.
All in Turpin.
All in Turpin.
Met in Turpin.
We met in Liberal.
Met in Liberal.
Yeah, Liberal was our hangout place. You know, that's where all the kids would go. We would go to Liberal to hang out. We drug Main on Liberal Main Street, not Turpin Main Street. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Man, that term goes a long way, because that's what you used to, what did you say? What did you say about
Oh, we drug Main
Yeah,
Street.
that's
That's an old timer term.
Yeah, that is. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So then you meet, you date, go to school at Goodwill, which I had for the first time. I want to say that's the first time I've ever been to Goodwill yesterday. And it's super small, and you got married and y'all lived there.
We did. I went my 4 years of college there. And then after I graduated, we were still in Spearman or in Goodwill for a short amount of time before we moved to Spearman. But I graduated in 85 with my bachelor's in home economics. And then we moved to Spearman. The bank opened up in April. So I graduated the summer, and then it was the following April, I believe, I kind of lost track. Tyndall started 6 months. He commuted for 6 months before we moved over here. So anyway, there was a period of time after I graduated that I was still in Goodwill.
Prior to y'all moving to Spearman, had y'all ever been in Spearman? Had you been to Spearman before?
Never. We came over and looked at the town, and Tyndall had already made the decision. We had already made the decision that he would come to work here before I'd even seen Spearman. Tyndall used to sell Apple computers and office supply equipment, so he was very familiar with the town because he would come over here and sell in Spearman, and that's how he got connected to the job at the bank, because they were just starting the bank up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So we've been here. We've raised our kids in Spearman. So we feel like, Spearman is our home.
That is cool. How many kids? How many grandkids? Tell me about that.
So we have 3 kids. Our daughter, Amber, she's our oldest. We have Nicole. She's our middle daughter. She's about to turn 40. And then Ryan, who's close to your age, I believe, didn't you?
So you graduated a year before I did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we have 9 grandchildren altogether. Amber has 3 children. Nicole has 4, and Ryan has 2. And so 9 grandchildren.
That's amazing. What a blessing.
Yeah, it is a blessing.
And I love to hear the stories. You are great grandparents. You chase them around. You travel.
We do.
For the big things, the little things. I love to hear.
Yeah, we're going this weekend, actually. Tyndall and I are leaving on Thursday. I'm gonna watch Amber's children while they go on a short little weekend trip, and then our youngest grandchild's birthday weekend is coming up, so we're going for his birthday party, and he and I are going to meet in the middle for a short period of time. He's staying with Ryan and Erica, and I'm staying at Amber's house to watch grandkids. So, yeah, but then we'll meet up for the birthday on Saturday.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah.
What do they call you?
They call me Nana. That's not what I wanted, though.
Okay.
So I wanted Granny Red because, how many Granny Reds are there out there? And back then I had a lot of red. My hair was much redder than it is now. And Preston just started calling me Nana. He just one day started saying Nana. And I went, well, I'll be a Nana then. That sounds good to me. So it's stuck. And Tyndall's Papa.
Papa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Papa.
Nana,
so
Papa.
At one point, Preston had Papa, who was Tyndall's dad, a Papa, who is Tyndall, a Peepaw, who was Gary Smith, who we were very, very close to in our Preston thought of him as a grandpa. And then Ryan's uncle nickname was Poo Poo. So it went from Peepaw to Poo Poo. So.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's cute. Siblings? Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have 2 sisters. Yeah. I'm the baby. We're each one of us are 15 months apart. So my oldest sister is Jolie. 15 months later, my sister Kathy came along. And 15 months later, I came along. And that's when my mom divorced my dad. She was like, well, I think that's it. She decided that's the only way I'm going to get to stop having babies. But no, anyway, but yeah, there are 3 of us girls, and we're very, very close.
That's something Miss Schrader, Miss Williams, and you have in common. Y'all are all babies. And you and Miss Williams have in common that you're a house of girls. So
oh, nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Do you have a weird childhood nickname? And does it have a story behind it?
Well,
or a different childhood?
So, most people don't know that my maiden name is Troll. That's my maiden name. And so Troll was kind of was a lot of times my nickname. It was just, hey, Troll this, hey, Troll that. So back then, I really never associated it with the book about the troll under the bridge. But I've had a lot of fun with that as I've gotten older and can make that book pretty fun because that's,
I didn't even know that, and I've heard.
Yeah. And we used to, so my sisters and I were always referred to as the troll dolls because when we were little, troll dolls were very popular. And they became popular again when our girls were young. But so, of course, I bought a bunch of them because they were special to us. But that we were called the troll dolls. And so one of our Christmas cards, I'd made a card, and it was my mom and my sisters and I, and we put Vicky and the troll dolls.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How long have you and Mr. Tim been married?
Yeah, 43 years. Almost 44. Almost 44 years.
What is your advice on that is a blessing, a huge, huge blessing. What?
He says yes, dear, a lot.
Maybe I'm
No, it really has been by the grace of God. We got married very young. We weren't ready for marriage by any means. There were many hard and difficult times throughout that, but we've made it, and we are very much in love. Every year I think we fall in love even more, and we have a great relationship. We have been very blessed. You're right.
That is 43 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It goes really fast, which is crazy. I think back. I hope that we get another 40 years, but we probably won't. That would make us pretty old. But it really has been a fast 43 years, but we've been very blessed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. I hope that you get another 40 to 50
I know, wouldn't
years.
that be something though?
Did you always know that you wanted to be a teacher?
No, I really didn't. When I went to college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I really wanted to be a hairstylist, but Tyndall thought it would be best for me. Tyndall is the man of reason in our home. And he thought it would be best for me to get a degree. And then if I wanted to go back and get my hairstyling certification, then we could do it that way. So I followed suit and went on to college. I had no idea what I was going to do until I was a junior in college. And I absolutely fell in love with one of my teachers. And that's why I chose home ec, was because of her. I really liked her. I liked both of the home ec teachers a lot. Miss Latham was the one that really inspired me to go in that direction. And then teaching seemed like a reasonable thing for me to do. I always liked the idea of being a teacher, but that wasn't what I had I didn't go to college immediately thinking that's what I would do. And I've never looked back, never thought I never made the wrong decision. So I did get the home ec degree in 85. We moved to Spearman in 85. Home ec positions were not available in Spearman. There were Miss Claudine Clark. She was the home ec teacher there for many, many years here in Spearman and wasn't retiring anytime soon. And so I chose to stay at home. We had little kids, and so I chose to stay at home. And I cleaned houses during that time. That was what I did to help supplement our income. And then one day, a friend of mine and I were driving to Perryton. Never thought about going back to school. Never thought about elementary education. We were driving to Perryton, and she had just enrolled in school at Panhandle State. It was Panhandle State at the time. And she was talking about enrolling, and I said to her, I wonder what it would look like for me to go back and get an elementary teaching degree. I wonder what it would take me. She said, I've got a course catalog at home, so when we get back, we'll go look at it. I looked at it. I went home and told Tyndall, I think I want to go back to school and get my elementary degree. And he said, sure, do it. I got enrolled that following semester and got my elementary degree. But I've always told people that that was a true calling from God. I felt the nudge that day. I just felt like that was something I wanted that would be good for me and good for my family. And there were more job opportunities in elementary. And I got hired right after I graduated, and I've never regretted that decision.
And how many years in education now?
Yeah, so 36 this year.
36.
36,
I'm not lying when I'm like, if you have a question, ask Mr. Ramon.
You're kind to say that. Usually I just say, I don't really know the answer to that, but I can help you find it.
No, I don't think that you realize how many people, when something, it could be from needing something in the classroom to, I'm going to go back to school. Should I do it? Just in so many day-to-day conversations that I have, they're like, oh, I reached out to Miss Ramon. Mm-hmm. I asked Miss Ramon. Or if they're stuck with something, they're like, you should ask Miss Ramon. And so the impact that you make, and it all started with a car ride.
Mm-hmm, it did.
And the nudge of you listening to the nudge of, like, maybe I should do this. And 36 years later,
36, yeah.
You just continue to make those.
Well, one thing that has helped me is being in the same place for 36 years. You know, a lot of people have that many years of experience. They don't necessarily always have it in the same place. There are several people in Spearman, though, that have taught only in Spearman, and so we have history. You know, we can fall back on things that we've done before, fall back on prior knowledge, and that's an advantage to being in the same place.
Well, I'm glad Spearman has that advantage.
Well, thank you,
Lizette. I'm so glad.
Thank you.
So you are a person who continuously pours into people. You are a person who does our spotlights that are posted on social media. You are great about writing people affirmations. You just continuously uplift people. And a lot of it, you do it without credit. A lot of people don't even know that you're the one who does all of it. How do you fill your cup? What fills Miss Ramon's cup? How do you get your heart to feel full when we don't pour into you?
I get I get my cup filled by doing that. That's one of the ways I fill my cup, because it's very satisfying to me to do that for others. But I do get plenty of acknowledgement of gratitude for what I do. I may not talk about that out loud, so people are maybe not aware that I get quite a lot of that as well. You've written me many notes, Lizette.
No, but you deserve much, much more.
Well, you're really kind to say that, but I get a lot. I do.
You are currently part-time. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say part-time.
Yeah, those are in quotes.
Because you do so much more than part-time. But how, whether it's in this season or when you had kids in the home, or even, I feel like in every season it's important, but how do you find the work-life balance?
Yeah, that is hard. So when I was principal, I was fortunate that I didn't have my kids in the home. I'm not fortunate, because they were grown, but I don't know that I could have managed that as well as what you do. Ms. Baca is great at that as well, having little kids and managing that. My kids were much older when I went back and got my administration. But as far as balancing it now, currently, the beauty of my job is I have a little flexibility. I do work quite a bit, but I have flexibility. So they give me the flexibility of getting a certain number of hours each month. And if I need to get that in 3 days, for that. I mean, I could break it up by the week, but they give me some flexibility. So this week I'm taking Friday off, and and I'm going to also take Monday off because I'll fly back on Monday, get back in time for the school board meeting. But I'm able to balance that. I still sometimes miss a few things that I wish that I didn't miss, but those are not decisions that the school's keeping me from. It may be just deadlines or other things that keep me from being able to do that.
No, I love how you're continuing to be present with your family. I said earlier, I love to hear how you still visit your grandchildren, that you attend birthday parties or things like that. So I admire that about you. What do you do for fun? What do you do for fun?
Yeah, so I go see my grandkids. That's what I like. Tyndall and I love to travel, so we do some of that. I think, there will come a time where we will do even more of that, but we do love to travel. We are gone a lot on the weekends. Right now, our season is chasing Preston because he's in college. He's doing collegiate track, and so we've been able to chase a few of his track meets on the weekends, which is fun for us. But yeah, we do. I'm not much of a gambler, but every once, a couple of times we've been to the Guyman Casino, and that's fun. Just hanging with people we love. We have a great small group in our church that we've been part of for many years. And we get together once a month. We try to get together once a month on a Sunday evening, and that's very enjoyable for us. And but we don't have any trouble having fun. Sometimes fun can be just sitting on the couch and taking a little nap while in the middle of the basketball game, like what I did last night. So
I agree with that. What would be something most people would be surprised to know about you?
Let me think. I feel like I'm an open book, but I think I've told things to you today that you didn't even know about me, and we've shared a lot about each other. But something they don't know about me. I was very ornery in school, very ornery. I got paddles. I got paddled quite a bit. I got quite a few swats.
No.
Yeah, a lot. I got a lot of swats. I got a lot of swats in high school. I was still getting them as a senior. I was pretty ornery. I loved to step over the boundary line. I was never mean. I probably was mean at times, but I was never a student that teachers didn't like, but I was a student that teachers, I could push their buttons. I could push the boundaries. So, but my swats mostly came from talking too much. That was in the days where you got 3 strikes, you got a swat, Things are a little different now.
They are different.
So the swats, we had coaches at our high school that kept a tally who swatted the most, and yeah, so it was kind of the popular thing to do back in those days. But I probably people don't know that about me.
I didn't know that, but then I'm like, maybe that's why you're such a great teacher, because then
you can't pull much on me that I didn't pull. That's for sure.
You talked about traveling. You travel a lot. Do you have a favorite vacation or a favorite place you've traveled that you would want to either go back to or just became a core memory?
Yeah, we've been to a lot of great places, but one of my favorite vacations that Tyndall and I took, I think it was our 25th anniversary. We went to Charleston, South Carolina, and we loved it. Lots of history there. It was just absolutely gorgeous. It was an anniversary trip, so they knew that. Tyndall had put that in the notes when he reserved the room, and they gave us a penthouse suite, put us on the top floor of this room. It was like a 3,000 square foot hotel room. It was unbelievable. It was huge. It was like half of the top floor. I mean, it was huge. And anyway, we loved the food. There was like butter melted in everything we ate. It was either fried in oil or smothered in butter, which we loved. That was a great vacation. We've taken some of my most favorite trips have been family trips. This past year, we went to at Christmas, we went to Angel Fire, and all of our kids and grandkids went. When I turned 50, I wanted to go somewhere that grandkids would enjoy, so we went to the Great Wolf Lodge and had a lot of fun just playing in the water, and I was going down those slides with the best of them. I don't know that I could do that as much now, but when I turned 60, we went to a lake house near Dallas, and we played on the lake, and spent 3 days there with all of our kids and grandkids. But this a year ago in October, we went to Costa Rica with our daughter Amber and her family. We absolutely loved that. That was a very fun trip. But we've taken a lot of trips, and sometimes they're just 2-day, 3-day trips. But when you put our family in with that, it makes it even better.
Aren't those the best memories?
They are the best.
Best memories. We've taken some family trips, and there's many times throughout the trips I just sit and think, thank you, Lord. Thank you for allowing us to live these moments, to create these memories. And I tell my kids a lot, you've traveled more in your short life than Miguel and I have traveled in as adults now. So, but so fortunate. What do y'all do when y'all are in big groups? Right now, our big group is, I'm going to get it wrong, 16 of us. They're going to get me in trouble if I get that number wrong. But there's a lot of us. And the most stressful part when we travel in that big group is what
food?
Yes. Where are we going to eat? It's almost like you have to think ahead of how you're going to make that decision.
Absolutely.
Because if there's going to be bickering, it's going to be bickering because of where are we eating. How do y'all decide?
That is exactly right. So when we've taken big family trips like that, we do a lot of our own. It's been at the cabin in Angel Fire or the lake house. We've taken a lot of our own food, and so we didn't try to all go. There's 17 in our family, and so we haven't tried to all go to places to eat. We've had a few trips where we've done that, but the food is always an issue. So one trip I forgot to mention was we went to Europe. Well, we went on a Baltic Sea cruise, and this was with a lot of Tyndall's family. I think there were 18 of us maybe that went. I can't remember the number, but there were a couple of his aunts and uncles, some of his cousins, some of his second cousins. So there were quite a few of us that went, and it was perfect because we were on a cruise, and we didn't have to decide where we were going to eat. We had a meeting time every day that we were going to meet up, and if you didn't show up, that just meant you were going to find a different place to eat. And so, on a cruise, a lot of times they have lots of options. I think this particular cruise liner had 5 different restaurants. So we would decide at 5 o'clock where we were going, and if somebody didn't like that, then they had the option to go somewhere else. So if you're looking for a family vacation and not wanting to have to stress out about food, go on a cruise.
Because that was sounds perfect. Like it's the way to go.
Because that was perfect, yes. So that was and we were gone, I think it was 12 days that we were gone, and we never had an issue with food because we always had those options.
Oh, that's good, because we've been to all-inclusives, and that does help a little bit, but still, if you leave to an excursion or whatnot, you have to decide, and it's always an adventure.
Yeah,
deciding
for sure
on where we're going to eat. So you've actually traveled quite a bit, which I think is amazing. It doesn't have to be traveling, but the question is 3 things on your bucket list.
Well, I want to continue traveling.
Okay.
And then I definitely want to be able to attend more of our grandkids' things that live in South Texas. So 5 of our grandkids are in the Austin, San Antonio area, and they're at the ages now where they're very active in sports. And our third oldest grandchild, she'll be a freshman next year, and so we hope to be able to attend more of her events and our other grandkids' events. That we miss out on a lot of that because at the school where she goes in junior high, her basketball games are on a Wednesday. Oh. Her volleyball games are on a Wednesday, and so it's so hard to make those. And so we're at some point we want to fill our bucket by being able to attend more of those events. And something else that's on my bucket list that I need to do, I don't know it's really on my bucket list, but I need to do it, is get back into exercising and stay fit, because I do want to still be married 40 years from now. So I want to stay fit, and I've let that go to some degree.
That's great. Those are great goals or things on your bucket list. Do you have a fear?
I'm terrified of snakes.
Me too.
I do not like snakes. They scare me. All snakes are bad snakes. Snakes in the grass, snakes in a cage, they're all bad snakes.
So you know Hector?
Yes.
Yes. He's like a snake guy.
Oh.
And I cannot with it, because he thinks that there's good snakes. Like, why would you kill this certain type of snake if it's on the ground?
That's right.
If it looks like a snake,
that's exactly.
It should be dead. Oh no, I don't like snakes.
Yeah, that's one of my fears. I do not like snakes, any color, any kind. There's a snake farm close to Ryan's place, and it's really pretty. It's very well done, and it has every kind of snake imaginable. But in the back part of it is an incredible zoo, and they have an albino lion. I mean, it's really something to go see. It's close to San Antonio. You guys visit San Antonio quite a bit. But anyway,
I think that's funny that you know that.
But I know you have family there. But I that's okay, because the animals are, the snakes are pretty caged in. But you get out to the little zoo thing, and they have this python thing that's wrapped around the guy, and you can walk over there and pet it and put it around your neck. And I'm like, oh no, that's a little too much for me. But anyway, yeah, snakes.
No, I don't. I think you could even put money into it. I would still say.
I do think I did this with it so I could just touch its skin, but that was not easy for me to do.
No. What advice would you give young educators?
I think my number one thing that I would advise, and I tell the teachers I get the privilege of working with, our new teachers, this every year at the beginning when I train with them, is to never give up on students. So one story that you may not know about me, Lizette, is when I was in high school, after I found this out after I got out of high school by a friend who was told this story. But it was a teacher who said I would never amount to anything. And I gave that teacher reason to believe that. I told you I was ornery in high school. But I always had that in the back of my mind when I learned that story. And it was very hurtful for me to know that this teacher felt that way about me. And so it actually kind of worked as an advantage for me, because anytime I wanted to give up and throw in the towel, I was like, I'm not going to let this teacher prove me wrong. And so I always tell our teachers at our first training, at the Links to Learning training, I tell them the story that, so without going all into the award that I received, but when I received an award, there was a story written in the newspaper, and I try not to use the he, she, but that teacher read that story in the newspaper because it got circulated around in the Oklahoma Panhandle, because we have family that live out there, and they shared it with somebody, and that person shared it with other people. Anyway, this particular teacher read that, and she called me, and she said, I hope I was not the mean old bat that said those words about you. And what I tell the students, or the teachers, or they're teachers, but they're my students, I tell them, she did not even remember saying that, and I have never forgotten it. So choose your words wisely when you're talking about students, and never give up on a kid, because all kids can accomplish great things. So that's my advice to teachers.
I literally got chills. Like, talk about a story that makes an impact.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so powerful that she didn't remember.
She did
and
not
you never
remember.
Forgot it.
No, and I never will forget it. I might forget everything else, like I can't remember what I'm doing tomorrow, but I haven't forgotten that. And it took me a long time to even be able to talk about it without crying. When I finally got the courage to share that story, I shared it with my first training year, with my first training group. Well, I actually shared it when I received the award, and I was very emotional. I had a hard time getting through that. And so anyway, I found a place in the training where it was very appropriate to share that, because we do a whole chapter on effective teacher, what it is to look like an effective teacher. And when I first started sharing that story with the different academy groups that I had trouble. So I would get pretty emotional talking about it. But I've gotten past that now. I can talk about it without crying. But I'm 62 years old. 60. I don't think I'm 62 yet. I'm 61. But I'm 61 years old, and it still tugs on my heart, and the pain that something that someone said about me could hurt that bad. So I always like to remind people that what you say can help or it can hinder. So be careful with what you say.
I'm an absolute believer in that. We could, you and I could sit and talk about education for probably a week straight, but I would love to leave people with that message now, that as educators, with all of the pressure that we live in our everyday, we do get consumed in the academics and the STAR test and all of the data. But the common quote of people may forget what you said, but they don't forget how you made them feel. It's so true. It's so true. You don't forget how people made you feel in that moment. But I am so glad that your story has become something positive in a way that it wasn't true to begin with. And now you share that story so other people do not make, the same mistake and jump to a conclusion of you won't amount to anything. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Just in general, doesn't even have to do with education. Is there a quote, or is there something, any just general advice that you would want our listeners to know? Or I guess if you wanted to change the world with a message, what would that message be?
Yeah. I think my message is be happy. We live longer when we're happy. We have less stress when we're happy. When we're happy, we make other people happy. And I think that's my message. Just do everything you can to enjoy life. It really does go fast. And so be happy while you're given the gift of life. And I'm not always happy, but I try to find joy in every day. And we've had some sad days in the last year in our family. We've had quite a lot of loss in our family, and still, I can still find joy in every day. And I think that's just a gift that God has given me as well, to be able to do that.
It is a gift to find joy, even when there's not happiness,
right?
With
Absolutely.
it, to still find joy. So I lied. I said last question, but now for real, last question. How do you want to be remembered?
Someone that loved and loved hard, someone that cared about others. I want people to know that I'm a Christian, and that I was a good daughter, a good wife, a good mother. That's my term of good. Other people may not think it's as good as what I want to think that it is, but and that I made an impact on other people's lives and touch somebody's heart out there. So,
well, I 100% know all of what you just mentioned is absolutely true. Okay, these questions are easy. You don't have to put a lot of thought to it. Would you rather hit the pause button or the rewind button?
For
like life, in life.
For life.
Yes.
Oh, I think oh man, that's a hard one, because there's a lot I'd like to go back and relive, but probably the pause button, because when you are in the phase where we are, time goes so fast. Am I supposed to really expand on this, or just answer my question?
That's fine. You're doing great.
Let's get rapid here.
No.
I think I'd like to slow time down just a little bit and be able to, for my grandkids to stay the ages that they are currently, but that's not going to happen. But pause, probably.
Pause. I would agree with that. I'm in a stage where I would I look at my kids, I'm like, I would just want to pause life
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. Slow it down.
One subject you would want to know more about?
Oh man, I am not good with history.
I
And we go on these vacations, like I told you about Charleston, there's so much history in that city. And I was wishing so much that I would have learned my history back in the days when I was being taught that. But history is one I don't have a very good balance of learning on.
Celebrity you would like to meet?
Oh, goodness. Dolly Parton, for sure. Or Reba McEntire, two of my favorites. I got another one. Lucille Ball. I love her.
I think I know one of the ones you named, but I'll look them up. Ice cream or cake?
Ice cream.
Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
One song that you have to sing along to?
I've talked about being happy because I'm happy. I love that song.
Because I'm happy.
Yeah.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas, for sure. Christmas.
When was the last time you laughed so hard you cried?
Oh my goodness, I don't know when the last time was. We laughed pretty hard yesterday over the Sonic drink.
Oh yeah, we did. I was about to say maybe the Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, the Cinco de Mayo. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Oh yeah. For your listeners, I thought Cinco de Mayo was on May 3rd.
That's cute.
I don't know my Spanish numbers very well.
That's a cute story. Ms. Ramon, it has been so fun learning about you. I learned so much. Good. I really thought I knew a lot, but I did know some, but a lot I learned. So
good.
You are a gift to this world, and I mean that. And just so honored to have had you. And I hope our listeners learned more about you. And I could sit here and visit with you for such a long time. You teach me so much about life, and I just look forward to seeing everything else that you accomplish.
Thank you, Lizette. Thanks for asking me, and I love you.
Oh, I love you.
You will always be one of my precious. I'm so proud of you, Lizette.
Thank you.
I've shared this with you before, but it's kind of a proud moment when you see your students do as well as what you've done, and it is. I feel a very small slice of your success, and that makes me proud.
Oh, thank you so much, Ms. Ramon.
Thank you
so much. Okay, Ms. Ramon, I had to bring you back because I don't know how I overlooked one of my favorite questions, and the audience will be so happy that I'm asking this.
Okay.
You may not know this, but I am not much of a shopper.
Okay.
Miguel is a shopper in our relationship, and I am like a list person. I'm gonna go find a list. He is usually the one who like, hey, I got you this or that. So I'm not, but I think everyone would agree with me. You have the best style.
Oh, thank you.
You have the best style. I hear people compliment you all the time, and I compliment you all the time. I'm like, man, I want to dress like her. So 2 things that I want to know.
Okay.
Where do you shop?
Okay.
And how many shoes do you have?
Oh my, well, that one I don't know that I should answer because that's an argument Tyndall and I always have. I really don't have a clue how many pairs of shoes I have. I would say, I don't know, 50, maybe. Ooh. 50 pairs. I really don't know. I have my spring and summer shoes and my winter and, the boots, that type of thing. And so I have 2 closets where I keep those so I don't have to count it. I don't have to keep up with the total. But as far as where I shop, I'm actually a very economical shopper. I don't spend a lot of money on clothes. I do like Horse Creek, of course. I love their thing. I love supporting Spearman. But I do a lot of shopping on Shein, actually. Oh. I buy a lot of my clothes on Shein. I love that website. And TJ Maxx is my all-time favorite store. I love a TJ Maxx. My mom used to always give me a gift card to TJ Maxx for Christmas, and before I could get home, I already had it spent. They have a great TJ Maxx close to her house. I'm a big-time bargain shopper, so I went to Dillard's the other day. I was in Amarillo for a doctor's appointment. I ran through Dillard's, and all I looked at were the sale racks. I just go to sale racks, and I didn't look at anything at regular price. That's pretty much how my shopping goes.
Where do you get your inspiration for style?
I don't know. I'm taking that as quite a compliment because I don't consider myself having style, but I like jackets. and so, I jokingly say you throw a jacket on, you fool a lot of people, but I do wear a lot of jackets, and then, that will dress you up to some degree. I oftentimes will have a jacket on with my jeans, my t-shirt day. I very seldom go without another layer. I remember Mr. Whiteley always saying that when you add another layer, you should always wear at least two on the top half of your body. And if you'll remember, he always had either a tie or a vest on. He never just had a shirt on. And so I've just kind of taken that. But I will take you back to an experience that I had, which has caused me to want to dress a little nicer.
Okay. I want to hear about it.
So when Tim and I were first married, we did not have much. I was in college and he had just graduated and just getting his career started. And so when I was doing my student teaching, I was pregnant with Nicole. And I had only borrowed maternity clothes, and I had about maybe 5, 6 outfits. I had very few professional outfits. And the ones I had, someone had loaned to me. And I wore the same outfits over and over and over because that's just what I had. And when I got my final evaluation from my supervising teacher, I scored quite well in everything, but my lowest score was my professional dress. And I always vowed to myself that if I ever reached a point when I could dress nicer, I would make that a goal of mine. So that's one of the reasons, and that is my inspiration for dressing like I do.
Well, I don't know how to feel about that.
So it was okay. Yeah. I mean, it was the truth. She was helping me because, I will tell you, the difference in the way we dress professionally is there's no comparison on what was expected 36 years ago in our professional dress. We wore dresses all the time. Our little first grade team, that was when I started, it was the romper days, or lots of rompers and lots of dresses and broomstick skirts. But it was very professional. We didn't have the opportunity to do the tennis shoe Tuesday and the warm-up Wednesday, some of that type of things that we now do give our staff the opportunity to not have to be dressed at their best every day. So I think she was doing that for me in a way that she knew what was going to be expected of me in the professional world. So it was a favor to do that, but it was also something I took it literally. Mm-hmm. I took it as when the time comes that I can, I will.
Well, you set the expectation high. I hear it all of the time. Like, oh my, you look so good, or man, you look like Miss Ramon today, And so I was like, I can't believe I asked her that because I admire that so much about you. Like you look so good all of the time.
Oh, you're very kind. Do you remember when we had the retreat at the Methodist church when I was principal and you were a teacher? Do you remember that? And we did a skit, and they dressed like Miss Ramon, and they all had scarves on. I don't know if you remember that. There were a whole group of them that came in with scarves on because they dressed like Miss Ramon. And that was back when I wore a scarf just nearly every single day. But I do like the fact those are coming back in style because I like a scarf, and I like covering all this up. So.
I like a scarf too. Yeah. Well, and one more thing we talked about off camera about your bucket list.
Yes.
You said, well, maybe I would add something else. What would you add to your bucket list?
Well, I'm sure not going to put in my bucket list that I'm going to exercise. That's not a bucket list item. But a bucket list item for myself would be, I really want to go to two places I really want to go to. I want to go to Alaska, and we're hoping to do that not this coming summer, but next summer. That's something we're hoping to do. And then I would absolutely love to go to Africa. One of my most favorite animals are the elephants. I love the elephants. I like everything about elephants. And I would love to go see them in their own nature and in their own environment. Of course, all the other amazing things that are in Africa as well.
That would be such a cool trip. Yeah. So my brother's fiance is an elephant person too. That's
oh, really?
So cool. Yeah, she loves elephants.
I do too.
And so that's interesting because most common animals are like puppies or cats,
Yeah.
And so Well, thank you so much for
You're
coming
welcome.
back, Ms. Ramon, and
You're
answering
welcome.
the most important question.
Well,
I
thank
took
you.
mental notes, and I'm sure others will too. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
My privilege. Thank you. Was that?
Thank you. We also cannot leave without hearing more about where the wild things are.
Okay.
If you know Ms. Ramon, you make the connection to that book. You read it to several students here. You've done just fun activities with it with the staff. Tell me about the history,
Okay.
how that got started.
Okay. So where I got the mask actually was Tyndall's Halloween costume one year. We were on a vacation and he picked it up at a gift shop, and I don't even remember what the gift shop was. It was like a touristy gift shop. And it was the mask, the glasses were right next to the checkout stand. And he looked at them and he said, "Hey, I'm going to buy these. They will make a great Halloween costume." So I never associated that one day I would use those while reading the book Where the Wild Things Are. But I had Pat Cudd as a student teacher. Miss Cudd's been out, she's been retired for years. So I was probably in my 5th year of teaching when I had her as a student teacher. And that year I had Dylan Sumner as a student. And he loved when I would jazz books up. He just loved that. And so that was really the year I just started turning books into, bringing books to life. And so I had multiple books that I liked. But one day I had brought that mask to school, just thinking there will be a reason to use this. And one day when Miss Cudd was there, I thought this would be kind of fun. I'm going to show her something fun I could do with this book. So I put those glasses on and I got up on the desk, which that's always the part that gets people, especially little children, excited. And I got up on a group of desks. I had them grouped into the desk in probably a group of 4 or 5. And I got up there and all the kids were just like sitting back, wondering what I was about to do. And I had those glasses in my pocket and I started reading. And I just started stomping on the desk and I put the glasses on. And over time, I've added a lot to it. But the kids' eyes were just huge. Well, later, while Miss Cudd was student teaching for me, I was gone one day and she was, in charge of the class. And we always had story time after lunch. Whoever the leader was came in and could pick a book out. Well, they picked out a book and Miss Cudd reads it, and I think it might have been Where the Wild Things Are, but I'm not sure. But she's reading it, and Dylan raises his hand and he says, "Well, Miss Cudd, you sound like Miss Ramon, you act like Miss Ramon, you read like Miss Ramon, but you just don't have the enthusiasm." So that was always just a fun thing after that. So I read Where the Wild Things Are. I love it. It's fun. I read it at senior dinner at the Methodist Church every year, which is fun. It kind of brings the kids back to their childhood days. And I've been out of the classroom for quite a while, so some of the seniors are not familiar with it, but they're quite surprised to see an old lady up on the table stomping and acting like a crazy woman. But Miss Correa invites me every year to come read it to her group of students. I'm going to get to do that at Deer Day. I'm coming for that. So that's always fun. But yeah, that's kind of how Where the Wild Things started. Funny story about that. Miss Flowers and I we presented, we titled our session Bringing Books to Life. And we went all over. We did lots of presentations at Region 16, went to Dallas, went to Austin. We went several places and presented. But the first time we ever presented, our room was full. We probably had about 100 people in there. They were packed in there. And the table, that was back in the day when the overhead projector was popular. And there was an overhead projector on one side of the table. And so I wasn't smart enough to take it off the table. So instead of being in the center of the table, I was a little too far over to the opposite side. And I'm up on that table and I'm stomping away and I am really letting loose because I had an audience full of educators, which is a lot of fun. And I'm just stomping away and all of a sudden that table goes whoop. And we just talked about professional dress. I am in a skirt and I go flying off of that table.
Oh my God.
And you talk about everybody's just roaring with laughter as I'm stomping. And then all of a sudden it's just dead silence. And they're waiting to see if I'm dead or alive. And I go, woof, and I fall and I am perfectly fine. And I jump up, and then everybody, of course, just claps and we all laughed really loud, and it was quite the story. It's one Carla and I like to share. But yeah, so I've had my eventful moments while reading that book, but it's a lot of fun.
That's a funny memory. I was kind of guessing where you were headed. I'm like, no, surely she didn't fall.
Oh, surely I did. And yeah, first time I ever presented in front of a group of teachers that I didn't know. So.
Well, I'm sure they will always remember that.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. So before I knew Miss Inoho's, she saw me at a conference in Dallas. She saw Miss Flowers and I at a conference in Dallas.
No way.
Yeah, she was at the literacy conference, and she's told me since then that's where she saw me for the first time. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Well, I look forward to the next presentation of Where the Wild Things Are.
Whenever your day is, whatever that day is.
Every time I see that book, I always remember Miss Sharon.
Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope the next few days provide an opportunity for you to sit and talk to someone, share a compliment, give someone a hug, or maybe just a smile. We will see you around, and don't forget that we love because He loved us first. Until next time.